I think I found one of my favorite photography apps right there. You can just see it. But before that, I want to talk to you about what makes a good photo or film app on your phone. Before that, a disclaimer. I'm not getting paid to do this video. I did, however, receive a 1 year free subscription, me and my friend Gergo, to try out Lampa by the developers. So I want to put that out there. But here is why I like film and photo apps. Number one is if you like them, actually, number one is the only rule that we should worry about. If you like them, if it's going to help you take more pictures, then use it. Who cares what anyone says and what anyone feels about it? Like when I first started photography, there were film photographers who did a really great job. No, actually, they didn't do it. I chose to accept it and to believe it, but they helped me believe that digital photography wasn't real and it wasn't a real art. So I see people doing that right now to people that photograph on their phone, and they mocked me. And here's something else that also happened. I surpassed them. And they stayed complaining and I stayed cashing those checks. So there are many film apps on the market. If you like them, use them. If they make you happy, use them. There are also many film apps on the market that I consider cheesy and cringe. And to me, film is something that is interwoven, like it goes through the fibers of the photograph. Many apps and plugins I feel are just like a slap on top of the photo, and it's awful. If you were to go and marinate meat for like a barbecue, you want the flavors to go in through the meat and you want it to sit there for a while so it picks up the flavor at any level of that meat. I've never heard anyone describe a barbecue like that, like at any level of the meat, but you know what I mean. Where if you didn't marinate the meat and you just no salt, no pepper even, and you just put it on the fire and then you slapped sauce on it, it's just not going to taste as good. Like you want it to be everywhere. And I think that film is very similar in that way, is that the grains and the love and the color and the imperfections should be going through the photographs. And some apps, some plugins are just a slap on top of it. But there's also things I don't like about film apps. Number one, some people, some photographers will make that their primary style, and that is not your style, my friend. That is the style of the developer, and you're only using it as a crutch. So I think that you should practice with film apps and photo apps, but don't let it define your style. It's just a quick go-to thing. But we had a mission in this video. Number one, let me just say, my beautiful friend Gergo is also the editor of this channel. He is a complete fraud. And I'm going to call him out. And Gergo, I'm paying you, so you have to put this in the video. I was honest and I photographed everything that came my way. I told him the same thing. I have text messages to prove this. And I said, photograph like a pigeon, a Greek pigeon. Photograph a shoe. Photograph a shadow, because that's what I did. He comes back with the most posed photos of him and his girlfriend, who are the coolest people. And I vacationed with him 2 times in Rome and then in Tulum and Playa del Carmen and stuff like that in Mexico. And I know that for every single photo that you see of him, there are 43 other photos that didn't make the cut and they have their feelings hurt. So I know how he sent these photos. I give you real. I gave you Los Angeles, raw, and it's a very raw city. I went to the gym. I went to go check out a new photography studio in the area. I went on a walk. I had a family dinner. And he gave you his posed Greek vacation. So I want to say that. It's so funny that 2 people are such close friends and they work together and they're in 2 different parts of the earth, and at the same time they have like 2 different lives. It's kind of cool. Like life is beautiful that way. But I thought, well, why not take advantage of that? Why not show the app like through LA? So I exclusively used the emulsion filter, and Gergo exclusively used the neutral filter. Lampa comes with 4 of them, as you can see on screen right now. But we wanted to show you a variety of different lighting setups and locations through 2 filters. That way you get to see the emulsion filter and the neutral filter over and over. But the 4 filters that Lampa does have is emulsion, graphite, neutral, and then pixel. But I also want to tell you real fast, as you're seeing these photos throughout this video, is 5 things that I think make a really good film or photo filter. Number 1, natural vibes over plastic vibes. And you know how some photos, they end up looking too shiny, too perfect, too Barbie, too plastic. Lampa does not do that. And that was the first pleasant surprise that I had. In fact, I will even say that when you look at the outer edges of the photos, they're softer. They blend into each other more harmoniously and less of an HDR strong cutoff line. Like HDR is really cool, but that's not how I see. That's not how I'm seeing the camera right now in this room, etc. What they do is that they strip away that typical HDR look and the AI tweaks that can give you that AI look. To me, that has no humanity. And if it looks super sharp, it looks to me like ChatGPT just stuck its hand out and pushed the button on the camera, then I'm not really that interested in it. If you want to see the full res images, you could link to my Substack down below and I'll post a whole bunch of them and you can see what they're like. You can see them as a full size. By the way, the size is something we're going to talk about in a second, the size of the photos that come out of this app. The second thing that I like about film and photo apps, the good ones, is that, and Lampa does a great job on it, that's why I'm mentioning, is it's back to basics, but like with a twist. It's gonna get a little techie, but Lampa uses like the slick capture engine that processes the raw data, so it completely bypasses Apple's usual AI algorithms. And that's the key part. So what does that mean for us? It means the magic of the photograph, like when I'm just taking a photo, is in the hands of the sensor in the camera or the phone and the actual lens. And I'm not worried about like some computer program that's like overzealous and just trying to spice it up and trying to make it super, super crisp, super HDR. To me, I think that's photography closest to its purest form. The purest is actually using real film. By the way, I will share what I don't like about Lampa at the end of this video because I do want to be completely transparent and if I recommend you getting it or not, but that's going to be right at the end. Another thing, I'm going to give a little photo lesson on each tip is what Lampa is doing is they're just stripping everything down. You're just getting a camera and you're getting 4 filters. And that means any camera that you have is going to be good enough. You're seeing all these cameras coming out, especially in the third and fourth quarter, because they have to push the Christmas market. But as much as I love these camera brands, you got to understand that in order for them to stay in business, they have to market on your insecurities and say, well, are you going to be good enough this year? Do you have this? Do you have that? But we're seeing, even through Lampa, which is a perfect example, that sometimes all you need is the pure basics, the basics. Use the basics of Premiere and DaVinci. Use the basics of Photoshop and Lightroom. Use the basics of your camera. And I think that that's what makes a photo more timeless. So when you see new camera ads coming out, new lens ads coming out for this upcoming market, remember, they need you to be insecure so that they keep selling more products. Massive price hikes, minimal adjustments in the technology. So I'll probably never get a camera endorsement either now, but the camera you have is plenty good enough. Number 3, point, shoot, and just create magic. It's that simple. And if that's your thing, then I think you're going to really dig Lampa, because despite Lampa handling raw data, which sounds super complex, it's actually easy to use. So when you look at it, it's literally, there's no settings, or there's 1 or 2 and that's it. And there's no need to play with settings. In fact, I think that sometimes it creates a really bad photograph. It becomes cheesy. So Lampa doesn't allow you to destroy an image by giving you a bunch of settings. An app like this that is easy is going to make you a better photographer. If you're happy with the app, you're going to end up using the app. It is that simple. Number 4, it's less is more with color profiles. Instead of like overwhelming with like a zillion filters, even Instagram has a ton of filters, Lampa offers you 4, which at first I thought was kind of cheap, but then I realized, wait a minute, so it's smart to just give 4. And Lampa says themselves that they're crafted color profiles. So with that being said, each one is developed with a colorist touch to make sure that your photos, they appear just the right amount of contrast, the right amount of color, and just color harmony in general, the perfect amount. So I appreciate it, and I think that in most cases, they perform. Sometimes not so much, but that's all right. And it's just about enhancing the scene naturally, not painting over it. Remember when I said like you don't want to just slap a plugin over something, a filter? It's like ketchup on a steak. You don't want to do that. It's awful. So this is just keeping it authentic. Anyways, that's why you don't take it into another filter. You never want to take something and then say, you know what, more contrast, more S-curve, more colors, more. And I think that that makes a photo look cheap. Don't overdo it. If you think it's good, go back 50%. That's my general rule. If I think it looks like just precision, go back 50%, and that's really the right spot. Don't spray too much cologne, don't spray too much perfume, don't filter too much, don't put too much, just everything in moderation, and it'll stand the test of time. Now let's go to the fifth one. Before the fifth one, you take beautiful photos, you post them, and people start sharing your photographs. And that's great if you know how to charge. If you don't know how to charge, where do you even start at? Like, where do you land on that scale? And how do you even raise your prices? By the way, that's your starting point. How do you raise your prices? When do you know when you're too expensive or you're too cheap? That's the only time your photography business is winning, is if you understand pricing and the psychology of pricing, and if you know how to price. So believe it or not, I see this every single day in a DM or a comment, or somebody saying, how much should I charge for this? And they end up just throwing out a number because they're stuck. They're on the spot. They don't want to lose the client. And they're leaving thousands of dollars on the table. So I made a step pricing course, my first online course of my step series, and it's a complete game changer. Step stands for Secret to Easy Photography Pricing, and so on and so forth. And it has given many photographers that peace of mind, that confidence to charge exactly what they're worth. And I want you to know to not only to take good pictures, but also charge the right amount for them. And step is linked down below. All right, now let's go to number 5, which is future-proofing photography. I think that future-proofing, when I say that, is Lampa has a really slimmed down feature set. But what I want to point about that is that future-proofing your work sometimes means less is more, and I just spoke about that just a minute ago. When you do these super flashy things, like a really heavy style, in my opinion, you can tell, oh, bell bottoms, 70s. Oh, cinching your pants at the bottom, 80s. Baggy pants where you show your butt, 90s. 2000s, I forgot what that was. You can just sort of tell the eras. And that could be good, that could be bad. That's up to you to decide. So when you go super extreme on your settings and really process these images, I think that it can kill your photos and your portfolio in the future. And that's what I mean by future proofing. And I think that they've done a good job in making sure that they put us almost within a box, almost within a leash, to make sure that we don't stray off too far. Sometimes we need that. I've seen some photos online. I'm just going to say that. Now, Lampa does say that they are going to future proof themselves and add certain things like digital zoom, reprocessing options, even tweaking exposure values. Personally, I hope they don't do that. Personally, I hope that they keep it really slim. There's so many apps that offer this and this and this and this and this, and it's like, I want something to be super basic. I actually really like this and this iteration. But here's what I do hope, but I didn't see it written in their white papers. The file sizes, you guys, are like tiny. Like, they are so small. I'd say so tiny that I hate the file sizes. What if I took a photo that I thought was so beautiful and I want to maybe frame it, like some of my work here? It's not positioned for that. I could run it through an AI app like a Topaz or something like that, but that's not the same. Their files are really small. For me, the Emulsion app, everything was like 1.5 to 2 megabytes. Gargo's was about 1 to 1.5. Some were even in the kilobytes, like 600, 800. That sucks on a photographer level. So I hope that Lampa listens to that and they allow us to have higher resolution photos. I expect at least 8 megabytes. That's not a lot to ask for. The other big enhancement that I wish Lampa would do is that there has to be a timer built into this. The amount of times that you see me doing a selfie in the mirror, which normally I hate those, but I wanted to show my day and where I was, I wish that I could put just the camera down somewhere, set a timer for 3 seconds. Give me 3 seconds. That's all I want. I hit the button, I can hop back 2 feet, 5 feet, take a picture, and that is it. Those are the 2 things that I would ask Lampa to please improve. If this video helped you, please consider subscribing. I do a lot of tips that help photographers in their business and help them develop, and I make sure that I try to empower photographers There's a lot of great channels. So those of you that are watching this, I highly suggest you keep watching. But I also very much want to thank you for watching, because you do have a lot of choices. If you're interested in Lampa, that's linked down below. If you're interested in my step pricing course, so you can actually start making a full-time photography income, that's also linked down right below. My name is Walid. Thank you so much. If you have comments about anything, put them in. Actually, no. Can you put comments about how Gargo did cheat? Because you clearly saw the photos of how I took pictures and how he took pictures. Thank you so much for the support and helping me trash my friend down below. All right, bye.